Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, the Paranormal Portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. It's going to be a goofy night, I'm here to tell you. What's up, gatekeepers? Hello, Ann Edna, Chris Jarvis, Donnie Cho, Pam Smith. How you doing, hon? Gatekeepers, here we are starting right out. So glad to be here. So am I. Jose, how are you tonight? Donnie, how are you feeling? Donnie's got a great success story about listening about herbal cures and natural cures and how fast you can heal if you listen and you trust a friend. Thanks for trusting me, friend. I know that you're happy that things are working out well. Are you kidding me? Vixen Doe, hello. And but what? Pam Smith says I'm great, but Cisco, what? What happened? All right, listen, we're all having one of those weeks. Last week I told you we were getting beat with the spiritual stick, and not the good end either. And AJK was the first one in here, so here's to you, my friend. Hello, Lindsay, how you doing? Gray, I love you, darling. Glenn, let's see who else. Well, listen, we got some surprises. First of all, I'm here because after the week I had, I was thinking, and I said, no, I can't do that. So I got to come up with something. And it's been a harsh week. So I'm going to tell you ahead of time. Actually, a harsh couple. And I'm sure we all have those stories. Hello, darling. Hey, Creepy Unsolved. How you doing, darling? And so anyway, I even told Donnie, I said, I don't know if I can't even wrap my head around. And then last minute I said, I'm going to miss it. They're going to miss it. We all need each other. So we're going to be here. Even if I'm going to tell you right now, on some Sunday nights, especially next 2 weeks coming up with Mother's Day, me being a floral designer, I might even just put a bunch of my flower arrangements up, just throw them on a slideshow or something. Or maybe just sit in the background and go, woo, or I don't know what, but we'll think of something. But as friends that we have in here, hello, Mairead, my darling, how you doing, love? Love the tattoo, by the way. I can't even get in to the Facebooks on the interwebs and go in there and like all the stuff I want to like or say hi or throw pictures. I usually throw up a cat picture, a picture of a flower, and a thumbs up and a heart, and it'll make I'm out, because social media is just so it's the energy, right? But I'm very grateful on my page, on my friends. We usually have some really high uplifting stuff, and it's really cool. But still, you get in there and everybody else's energy kind of gets on you. But there it is. Hey, Blue, how you doing, sweetie? So we have, I'm sorry, I was trying to catch something. So anyway, friends as they are, wonderful last minute. We have a wonderful friend of the chat, and I'm proud to call her a friend of mine. It's the beautiful and smiling. Look at this, Laura, midnight in the... And that's the best part of the show tonight, guys. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, get out of here. Oh, my goodness. No way.
Gosh. So here we are. I've got my tea. What do you have, Laura?
I have a ice water with lemon, and
nice.
I have my elderberry tea. Oh, it's very hot yet, though.
Is it? Elderberry?
Yeah, I didn't drink it yet.
What do you have in there with that elderberry? Is it you put a little
Nothing.
honey? Nothing. Straight up?
Nope. Yep.
Oh, yep. Straight up. Not even on the rocks, folks.
Nope.
Welcome in. Blues in G music. Hello. Welcome. Do you see anybody in here you want to holla?
Yeah. Mairead, of course, and you already said her tattoo is beautiful.
Isn't it gorge? I'm so jealous. Uncommon Belief. Hello, love. How you doing? Everybody say, yay, Uncommon Belief. We're so happy for him. I can't tell you why, but just be happy.
Yay, Uncommon Belief.
Yay, we're happy. We're so happy. We're happy for Donnie's mouth. Yay. Yep.
Donnie's happy too. I was talking to him last night.
You'll could be in here snapping and John and everybody, but in no time whatsoever. I hear you guys have been having great time, and Sean G has been having wonderful shows. And I'm so sorry, Sean, I could not make it the other night. I've been told to go back and watch it. I shall. That it was absolutely fantastic. Did you want to say something about that, Laura? I heard you were in the chat
Yeah.
too.
Well, first I wanted to say because Sean is always like praising you so much. He's so nice. So I wanted to say, like,
Sweetheart.
return the favor, you guys. If you're not
Absolutely.
watching his show, get your butt over there and go watch it every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And then also, I guess it was the show Friday night. It blew me away. Like,
So cool.
yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, people came together and they were doing good things, and you just have to go watch it. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Maybe we could do something like I was catching parts as I was doing, like I said, so much right now in the floral with Mother's Day coming. I mean, I can't even tell you. It's insanity. And, and it's a small shop. And when it's a small shop, it's even worse than when it's a large shop. I got to tell you the truth. But, I love working for people that own their own business and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Rather than a big corporation. Not that if you work for a big corporation, I don't mean to diss you or anything like that. I'm just saying that right now it seems like it means even so much more, trying to keep those mom and pops alive and, those brick and mortars going. So I'm proud to be there. But, oh, my God, I feel every year of gosh, I can't even tell you how long I've done this and other stuff. But your hands start getting, the arthritis. Thank goodness for herbs, because I would probably have the posture of a boiled shrimp right now if it wasn't for herbal cures. So here's to the ancestors and all the testing and all the clinical studies they did amongst themselves, and word of mouth and common sense. So here's to the people with common sense who passed along their wisdoms. We appreciate you very much. Linda, welcome in, Linda. How you doing? Caillou, hello. So tonight, oh gosh, I'm sorry. I cut you off about the show. Tell us more about the show on Sean's. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh no, that's pretty much. I kind of just wanted to. I mean, it was like someone unfortunately went missing, and a bunch of very very gifted people got together and were using their gifts for good. And it was just like it was so very cool. It was very heavy though.
Absolutely.
I shed a tear like once. I know other people were probably crying. It was very heavy. I felt it in my chest the whole time. I was like,
I know exactly what you mean. I wasn't there, but it's like when everybody gets together like that, like I was saying, all our musicians in here will absolutely understand this. When you get together and you click with the band, I don't care if it's a bunch of strangers in a blues night or, some jam or something, you all get together. When it clicks and it's that magical moment, and it's the same with whatever your arts, and I'm putting out sage. I'm getting it going. Here we go, everybody. Get that. There you go. All of the ancestors. There you go. But,
yeah, Donnie said that he cried too. I was going to say that, but I didn't say anything. But if you went back in the chat, you could read that too. So
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, but it'll jerk a tear out of you, because it's not only that, it's the emotion, it's the sync up, it's the feeling of all that energy and everything.
Oh no, you could feel it.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. I love this, so much. That's why I love this, because you get those moments. And usually when you have those moments, you're helping another human being. It's human beings that don't know each other, that are getting together to combine their gifts and their energy and their intent to help usually a stranger. And it doesn't get any better in this genre than when that happens. So I'd love to do that sometime. Let's get these guys on with Sean and you and, whoever wants to get on a round table, and let's, do it again. Maybe we could do once a month, concentrate all of our intent and energy on, a missing person, or maybe someone in the Spirited Away series that Sandy and Steve are working on. Something like that, a forgotten cold case, because I've seen it happen. I've been involved in it before, and often you don't find them. You want to find them alive, and most of the time you don't, but if you can find them, at least it gives the family closure, and I believe it gives them closure too. In a lot of ways.
I think so too, because it sounded like he was there and he was
Oh yeah.
speaking to these people on the panel, and he's still
Oh
here, and I
yes.
don't think he will leave until everything's settled. That's
Until
just
it's
my
all
thoughts though.
yeah. Well, that's possible. And a lot of times we can get that feeling that they're still there and they're not going to leave because such and such and yet, whatever. But
Right.
it's sometimes they're not stuck here, if you know what I mean. They're
Okay,
like
yeah.
there and they're able to visit, come, let's say visit for lack of a better word, and come over, especially when there's that kind of energy collected in their name. So,
Mhm.
such as funerals, memorials of, say, a wedding, and you're talking about that person and everything else. As soon as you click into their memory and their energy, they click into yours. Now, how much they take that and you take that, that's a whole nother thing. There's a lot of things that can happen on the road on the way there. It's a funny way to put it, but it's kind of true. And, in different, the way we perceive it and the way they're perceiving us. So when you get those rare connections, phew, man, that's something else. I think it happens more than we know, more than we give it credit for. And I think that's what a lot of our synchronicities and coincidences and timings and spirit visits, that we say, we talk ourselves
Mhm.
out of. Maybe if we talk, sit on the good side of it. If you got to sit on the fence, which way does it, it doesn't matter which way you swing your legs over. If you're going to sit on the fence, sling them over to at least into the light side of it and to the positive side of it, that, yeah, maybe it was a visit from them, or the feather from them, the penny from them. We've talked about it before.
You
Or
know,
the
it's
person is there,
it was funny actually. Today I was vacuuming my truck out, and it happens to be the truck that my grandfather used to drive, and
Oh,
he's
wow.
gone now for like 3 years. And I seriously have no idea, but there's been a couple times like the past like week or two that I've been just getting these whiffs, and it smells like him.
Hmm.
And it could be anything. I'm not saying it is. I don't know. But then
Right.
when I was cleaning the truck out today, I had this like whiff of him. And
Hmm.
then I'm in the back seat and I lift up the floor mat in the back seat to vacuum, and there's a dime underneath the floor mat. And I just was thinking, because I just recently was like listening to stuff, and I've heard it before too,
Hmm.
where people say they find dimes
Uh-huh.
of their, like it's a sign. But I just kind of
Hmm.
smiled to myself a little
Yeah.
bit.
And see, what I'm saying is, why talk yourself out of that? That was your first thought. There's so much combined in there, and I think if we stay in that, like doing push-ups or doing,
Right.
arm bent arm hangs or whatever you want to call it, the more you do it, the more the path to you is worn a little bit easier for them to get in and out. I mean, ask any medium that does that. Hello, Katie. Welcome in, darling. So, anyway, Grey Wolf says it really best here. Put it into good words. Not all who wander are lost. And I cannot agree with that more. Absolutely. Absolute fact. So, there we go. And, I think the thing is, too, I laugh at this feeling I had a couple of days ago. I was just thinking about it, and I thought, we go through so much to communicate with the dead. We
Hmm.
go through so much. We'll drive 3-4 hours to go to a place to sit in a dark basement with a bunch of equipment and a bunch of other like-minded people to try to figure out what's going on. We'll study the history of a place we don't even live. We'll try to get all the information. We'll have conversations with almost perfect strangers. Lovely conversations they usually are. You can connect so well when you're with like-minded people, so you have these, conversations with people you remember for life, like total strangers, because you're
Hmm.
all coming together to help this one or two or three, who knows how many that might be there that you're trying to communicate with. And I think it's so funny that we go through so much, buy so much equipment. There are paranormal investigators out there that have buku money,
Oh
buku,
yeah.
buku on
They
equipment
call
and
that Zach Baggins kind of money.
yeah, buy or a demon house, or buy a demon house just to investigate, or any of that stuff. And I think that's so interesting. And I'm not saying anything against equipment. Of course, anything that you get into, my gosh, I couldn't criticize somebody for buying stuff. You see how many beads I have. I shit you not. I mean, I remember once going with my son to I think it was Hobby Lobby or Michael's or one of them, I can't remember what, and I said, do you see that wall of Swarovski crystals? And I know by working for these stores that usually you put 3 on the peg. If anybody tells you different, they're lying. Usually it's 3 on the peg, and the only reason you would have more than 3 of an item, like say a package of beads or a package of wire or whatever it might be, is if it's not selling. And if it's not selling, usually at this point in time, inventory, which is now, some robot or, an office, a big empty conference room full of monkeys slinging bananas and shit at each other, I guess what it is. But it's supposed to be inventory, integrity team or whatever. But they'll make sure that they don't order anymore if there's more than 3 to 4 on a peg, right? So that's why there's never hardly anything there anymore. Used to be they just kept stocking it till it, it's sold or whatever. It was up to the logistics manager or the owner of the little shop to stop ordering stuff. But so you figure you got 3, 5 on a peg of these little beads, and there's like 5 of these Swarovski crystal beads in this package, right? And it's probably $9.99, $12.99 for these beads. I kid you not, depending on the shape and anybody.
Oh no, Swarovski's expensive.
Oh, stop it! Like a 20 millimeter or a 10. Forget 20 millimeter, 10 millimeter heart shaped like a pendant one. Are you kidding me? And if it's in a retired color, oh, forget it. I mean, you could spend so much. And I mean, it's a bead, people. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong.
They're
Swarovski
beautiful,
crystal
though.
is got a ridiculous amount of facets. In any class I've ever taught, I always use the best when it comes to, beads and things like that. Genuine gemstones, usually mined, and, try to buy them from the small guy who's, mining them, the dock or whatever. I tell you, I get deep into it. Oh, look at there. Look at that. Aren't they beautiful? That's made with 2 different size bicones in grass green Swarovski crystal and a teardrop. Look at the crazy amount of facets on that teardrop.
Oh, I
Look
can't.
at that. Do you see that? Look at that. Do you see that teardrop? I actually
It's
made
hard.
that for Laura. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah. I feel like we're on QVC right now.
I know. There you go. Just, put the hand in the thing to do the thing. But that's amazing that you have that there. I love that. So
Yeah, it's
that's
on
a
my
tree of,
nightstand.
that's a tree of life. Actually, I was thinking about making some today. I've got the tiniest little beetle on. That's what I use for my hoops if I don't make the hoops myself. And I've got them, and they're smaller than a dime. I'm going to try to make them little tiny little tree of life earrings. I was getting inspired. Maybe that and some moons or something. But anyway, I digress.
Oh, moons. Oh my goodness,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, I make some really pretty moons. Amy
I
Allen's
love
got some of
moons.
my moons in copper, and that's her favorite color, green, by the way, too. She likes
Oh,
that one,
cool.
and she likes the darker, that's a grass green, and then there's there's so many different kinds of greens.
There's so many.
So many. But she also likes the deep hunter green. That's really
I like
pretty.
that
I love
too.
that too.
I
This
like
is
that.
almost black to the point of, but then when it shines, you can see the green. Oh, it's so pretty. But anyway, the whole reason I brought this up is I've got so many damn beads. I said, do you see what Hobby Lobby has? This whole wall. I got a beat they would cry if they saw the amount of Swarovski. And he was like, you're exaggerating. I said, come in the studio. Come in the studio. I'm opening drawers that are just busting out. They're busting out like, what's his name from the Demon House or Hell House or whatever, for Keith Linder's drawer, and all the mail pops out. When I open these little drawers, all these bags pop out, and they're filled with 30, 40, 50, 100, of these one size, one color Swarovski. I got them beat. I've been buying them for years and years and years and years. So if anybody wants these Swarovski, let me know, because I've got them every shot. I've got moons and hearts and clovers, all kinds of stuff. So what are we talking about tonight, kiddo? Besides being,
Oh,
we were going to do the
Leonard Nimoy.
yes, oh God, how much do we love Leonard Nimoy? Last week I got him to say pantaloons for you. You know, oh my God, I just absolutely love that. So I was digging around, and I even told Laura, like I said, I wasn't really going to do a show. And I said, heck no. And I started digging around, and Leonard Nimoy pulled me right out of the funk, man, because he's just fantastic. And what they were calling it, he said it was In Search of a Ghost Stakeout. And I'm thinking, okay, where are we going with this, Leonard? So I started watching it. Now, what it actually is they found a haunted house, and they're just doing what we do. Paranormal investigators or people that go and, you know, we're all involved in this in a different way, you know, one way or another, or whether we're investigating for Bigfoot or whatever. And they go into a house, and certain media, a couple of mediums, and some historians, and basically in the 1973 they were doing what Amy Allen and Steve and a lot of these other ones like oh gosh, what is it? Amy Bruni and the other kid. Spirit, they do that. Kindred Spirits. That one's not bad. They actually do a good job. I wanted to not like that show, but I have to say I couldn't find too many things I didn't like about it. But you know, when they go in and they investigate and they stay a little while and they sit and they listen and they talk to the people there. So basically this is what they're doing. It's just that In Search of called it Ghost Stakeout. So you want to take a look? If you have to go back and forth, you just go ahead and put your thing on. Don't even worry about it. I know you're going to only stay for a while tonight too. So this one's about 10 minutes. We'll stop it and talk about it. But I'm going to let Leonard Nimoy do the intro here. What do you think, guys? Also, you may see a couple of cute little ghosts that you've seen before, but a lot of people didn't get to see them, so I went ahead and put a couple of them in here again because they're just absolutely adorable, and they make me laugh, and I hope they make you laugh too. So here we go. In Search of well, ghosts. I love him.
Yeah. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, cat.
The lightning bugs, how cute. I think they're gonna get him, Laura. Oh, they got him.
I feel bad for the poor guy.
Oh, he's gone. How precious. Aren't they cute? Telling people stories.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost hunters believe they can communicate with spirits of the dead. They believe they can transcend the barriers of space and time and see into the past. Actually make contact with the ghost of a tormented person and relive the trauma of some long-forgotten tragedy. Can a ghost be set free to move on to another world?
It seems to be almost frightened. This man seems frightened.
This was Sylvia.
Psychics attempt to exorcise an evil spirit. If the ghost departs, will an In Search of camera capture its image? History and fiction both abound with reports of haunted houses. The family in this house is fearful of a demonic spirit that they believe is destroying the harmony of their home. A team of experienced ghost hunters has been summoned. A psychic, seasoned in exorcisms, Sylvia Brown, is placed in a trance in order to make contact with the spirit. In case any ghost should depart from the room, the In Search of cameras are ready to document the event.
How are the circumstances at the present time?
This is a highly charged energy implant And sometimes the only thing that can break this energy is prayer. Prayers must be said in this house. Prayers must be said over the man at the end of the table. Release all negativity. And whatever is in this house that is of any negative energy, we command by the will of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit that it goes on to progression and perfection. That there is no negativity left, that there is no black whirlpool of energy.
The camera does pick up the impression of something moving. Is it the image of a ghost or some random electronic impulse? Many people believe that a ghost is the disembodied spirit of a person who suffered an emotionally tragic death and who is imprisoned forever in that locale. The spirit lives on as a form of...
I gotta stop this. The wallpaper. I don't know what it is about this wallpaper. Are you guys mesmerized by this too? It comes on again at the end, but I think it takes me back to a memory or something. I don't know what it is, but there's something about that damn wallpaper. I don't know, I had to mention it. There you go.
Energy. A sudden gust of wind in a closed room, an unearthly cry in the dead of night. These are physical examples of the ghost reliving its final moments as a human. People who claim to be psychics say that by contacting these spirits, they can unlock the secrets of a haunted house. A ramshackle house with a mysterious past is the target of a ghostly stakeout. The Rule Ranch is 200 miles north of San Francisco and overlooks the jagged California coast. Recently, In Search Of arranged to bring a team of ghost hunters here in order to test their psychic skills. In the nearby village of Jenner, preliminary research is provided to In Search Of by Antoinette May, a freelance journalist. She questions residents for background information. The house was built in the 19th century by a rich and powerful family named Rule. Sometime during the 1920s, a mysterious tragedy occurred and the house was abandoned. The estate has fallen into ruin. Neighbors swear they have heard the sound of a woman wailing behind the walls and her footsteps echoing on the gravel drive. Undaunted by the legend, new occupants moved into the house 6 months ago, so Antoinette follows up.
Have you had any...
Jim and Laura Furlong have lived in the community all their lives and know the history of the Rule Ranch, why the house is haunted. But the Furlongs are not afraid of any ghost.
Was there any indication that you might be moving into a haunted house? Did people warn you?
The first thing I do is try to take a history on the house, interview the people involved, try to find out what may have happened in the house during their residency there or earlier.
They agreed to let In Search Of conduct the experiment. The psychics know nothing about the ranch, the family that built it, nor their demise.
That's out there.
Sylvia Brown and Nick Nocerino have been practicing psychics for 20 years, working in tandem on more than 200 ghost investigations.
Okay. Yeah. You know, it could have been family, but it could have been work hands. This place must
They have sheep, but like I said, I felt like ghosts.
The procedure they follow is always the same. They begin to pick up psychic impressions by feeling their physical surroundings. Then they make contact with the spirits and thus can learn of events that happened long ago.
Really disconcerting.
Well, we get somebody injured by a horse, that's for sure.
Most of the time when Nick and I have worked together, he has been the photographer and I've been the trance medium. I'm the one that's gotten the impressions. It can be a switch off or whatever. We will confer a little bit. Almost like a running commentary, what I call psychic stream of consciousness.
Every house has some form of energy. We use Sylvia, for instance, as a way of gathering energy. She seems to bring the energy in where we want it so we can photograph it and begin to diagnose it, because energy has certain patterns to it and it tells us some of the things we wish to know.
Nick says that if a ghost materializes, it appears as a flash of light, too quick for the eye to see.
Maybe one more of the house, Sheriff.
By using high-speed film, he can catch that image. According to Nick, when a house is inactive, as in this picture, his photograph appears normal. But when the same house is alive with the presence of a ghost, the photo lights up as if it's on fire. As the house tour begins, Antoinette records impressions.
In the case of Sylvia and Nick, I try very hard to verify their stories. I have never gone on a house investigation with either of them that they haven't come up with amazing hits.
Not even this. I see a baby.
Sylvia and Nick claim they can conjure up images of the people who lived in the house long ago.
10, 11, 12, 13.
Going from room to room, the story is pieced together.
But right looking out at the window, we saw her.
Yeah, coming up the path, you can see a woman in this window.
The 1923 date comes in very strong, and I feel that this was a meeting place, a lodge of some type. A lot of lights, a lot of parties, ladies dressed up in very, very elegant gowns. And the other thing that seems to come in really strong about 1923 is that's when I really first felt the trauma. I want to say Carmelita, dark hair, dark eyes, beautiful dresses, very lacy, very frothy looking, the kind of petite little, kind of a accentuated chin. But I think she compensated by that by wearing a lot of rouge.
Get the feeling of hopping around.
Seems to be very female-dominated.
Yeah, this house is dominated by one man. He's a well-to-do man. Apparently he's got money. He's used to having his way. He's, I would say, a very obstinate man, very stern man. He's a controller. He's a ruler.
You sure you're not picking up John Rule or John Ruler? Because it seems to fit together. See,
Yeah, John Rule. John
Yes.
Rule. Whoever he is, I don't like him.
Do you have any feeling of anything really dramatic happening here?
The girl's crying for some reason. Now, you know, I mentioned to you about the fact that she was going to be engaged, I think, but I don't think it ever culminated. The traumas that surround this place is basically female. And there was almost like an insanity type of thing going on with this female who was lost, almost running blindly, not being able to find her way. And I think she's dead.
The feeling that the girl died mysteriously prompts the psychics to explore the grounds overlooking the sea. Nick experiences a strong impression of what may have happened.
Of course, my back. Weakness bothers him. Well, my feeling is that he doesn't think very much of women other than the fact that to be used.
I feel that somebody was very, very upset, distressed, running away from somebody. But I also think somebody took the cliff. Because right down here you get this really strong feeling of depression, running, afraid, breathing hard, heavy.
There she goes.
I think she's dead.
We checked later with Jim Furlong and older local residents. According to them, the psychic story is true. It coincides with what actually happened more than 50 years ago. The experiment is over. Sylvia and Nick have identified the ghost as that of a heartbroken young woman. But the Furlongs have no fear and have chosen to stay on the ranch. In other cases, however, homeowners are frightened of their ghosts and want help. At their next destination, will these psychics be able to free an imprisoned spirit?
Well, there you go. Can you hear me? Or am I on mute?
No, I was on mute. It took me a second.
That's okay. I just wanted to stop it there and get your thoughts. There's a lot of talk about Sylvia in here.
Yeah.
Back and forth with Sylvia. As far as, my thoughts are, and it's just my opinion, anybody under a microscope, you're going to find something.
Yeah.
You see here, she hit it with whoever, I can't remember the man's name, but a lot of times you'll get together with psychics, you'll go out, you all walk the grounds, and you have your notepad or a recorder, and you talk about the hits you're getting. Now, just because I'm getting an 8-year-old girl that was trampled by a horse or something, and the other person is getting a guy who hung himself in the barn, it doesn't mean that we're wrong. It just means that we're picking up on different energies. So there's so many different things there that can happen. And she did write a book that did pretty good, predicted the COVID-19 and all that different stuff that went on, and for how long, and how it would just magically disappear out of nowhere, just poof, one day, and went on and said some other things too. I have the book, and I actually have the picture of it. But that's not the only thing she got right. But here's the thing. You can have the other side of the fence and say even a broken clock is right twice a day, but if you dedicate your life 40 years, whatever, and you write books, or you do what you do, you get caught up. I know a lot of people who have got caught up, and I saw what Donnie said, and I don't disagree with it, that money and fame and power. But it's also getting yourself out there. And it's also, Blue, I don't know what you call this. I don't know if there's a term for it in criminal science, but it's the person can do it right 100 times, get it wrong once, and that's all that people remember. Or so, that I don't know how you would put that into law enforcement or anything else, but it seems to me it goes along with life. We do it to ourselves. We could do something right. How many times have you driven to work correctly? But the one time you have an accident or take the wrong turn or something, that's what you remember. So,
right.
Is that part of it? I don't know. That's just my thought. What do you think? Gray agrees. Thank you. Here's to you, darling. But that's just the thing. I don't know. I'm just spitballing,
So she was a little before my time. I was born in the 80s, so I'm not familiar with this other than from what I've seen off of you. But I don't remember what I was doing the other day, but I was like looking something up, and I came across somebody, like a webpage, talking about her and saying how much of a fraud she was, and how she like
is it a single guy in on a YouTube, because he popped up with me too.
It wasn't on YouTube. It was on my web browser on my phone.
I think you froze on me, honey. You'll come back. Come back, Laura, come back. I think we lost her. Did you go out? If you went out, she's out in the mountains. I can hear you.
I can hear you too.
There you go. No, you're fine. You just froze in midair.
Oh, I hope my face
maybe it
wasn't
was Sylvia. It could have been Sylvia. Maybe she froze you. Were you about to say something good or bad?
No, I was just saying that I found it. I was searching. Oh, hey Connor, what's up? He just popped
Connor.
in the
Hey,
in
Fast.
The chat.
Hey, everybody that's popping in here. Hey, everybody.
But someone was just saying, like, I was searching something, missing people or something, and that she was like swindling people out of money to try to help find a missing person or something like that.
I don't know. That very well could be rumor. I don't know. I don't
know either. That's just all I saw. But someone else, AJK here in the chat, saying that she wanted $300 for half an hour reading her son $250 or $200. I don't know what that means.
That's probably how much they charged for
reading
I know
her
people
son
charge more. He's probably saying, and her son, he also does reading.
Oh, Okay.
And he charges
Just like
probably
yelled at.
$100 less or something like that. Yep. I mean,
That's
I know people that charge more,
that's
and that
that
doesn't
to me.
mean they're
That's
better or less, and I know people that charge absolutely nothing, and then I know people that charge in the middle. So I mean, again, I can't really, because did I start out as the same person 40 years ago as I wound up? Hell no, none of us did, right?
right.
So I think I'm comfortable in these days in the in the 70s and 80s with her and some of the other psychics that were on these shows like Peter James and others. I mean, you can find just as much bad stuff on Peter James or anybody that puts themselves out in the limelight, depending on what you want to prove. And what I usually find if I'm looking at both sides is there's a healthy mix of I don't know.
Right.
Until you're in front of somebody and they either give you a reading that nobody could possibly know, nobody can tell you that. So what I want to do is kind of look at the story, though, of what they're telling here on In Search Of. And she was on a lot of, she was on In Search Of. As you saw, she was part of the Yanni, the Toys R Us ghost, on That's Incredible and all that. She was just one of those psychics that were out there at that time. There were several of them, many of them on like the psychic detective shows and stuff that started coming out later, and they got famous for that. Helped a lot of people, and beyond despite popular belief, they have found multiple people. And one of the scariest things I've heard from them and people like this is in some cases they can't, because they know that there is a power behind a lot of missing people that would absolutely destroy them.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, think about what's powerful enough that could be involved in doing something like saying human trafficking, which is probably I would imagine that's probably surpassed drugs and firearms at this point. So if somebody was involved with that,
Okay.
what chance would a 50-year-old psychic living by herself in the middle of nowhere have against something like that if she started telling people where to find these missing people? You see what I'm saying? You're gonna get rubbed out, kiddo.
She'd go missing herself.
Yeah,
is what you're saying. Yeah.
Or worse. And I've known some psychics that threw it to the wind and said they didn't care and did it anyway.
Yeah.
And so, and there's been multiple people. We can all mention somebody that's been a whistleblower, or like a Bill Cooper that was out there telling the truth, and they shot him dead in his driveway on Thanksgiving Day. So
Wait, say that again. I got distracted by the chat. I'm sorry.
Bill Cooper. He was a truther. Bill Cooper wrote Behold a Pale Horse. And he was out there telling the truth, much like Jim Mars and, a lot of these other people, even, some show hosts like Art Bell, people like that. He swore at the end that he was being targeted, and, horrible stuff. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
So I've been listening to Art Bell a lot lately. He's like one of my go-tos when I'm like stressed out and just not feeling good. Like I just love to listen to him. And, even back from, oh my God, yeah. Like I sleep with him on all night long.
Paranormal ASMR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even back in 1997, people were like threatening him and all this kind of crazy stuff. I'm like, what the hell?
Yes.
Someone called in and was like, can you share, basically asking him to share these threats on the air, and he shut them down nicely, but I'm like, dude, that's a weird question.
He went through hell, man. He had people shooting. He lived out in Pahrump, Nevada, out in the middle of the desert, and with his wife and a young child. I forget how old the girl is. I believe at the time she was somewhere between 8 and 10. Let's just say, don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, he went through this thing where he was being targeted. And I remember the night, because what it was with Art is, for some reason, I can't even remember if anybody in the chat remembers why he changed to Sirius XM radio. I can't remember why he switched. He had such a good thing going. But for whatever reason, he wound up doing this when Sirius XM was getting big, right? So he's
Yeah.
trying to do his normal show. Well, he gets involved in it, and then the big issue is that he can't play music because they don't know the license to the music, and
Okay.
the license that they want him to buy to be able to play the music, because that's a big thing. I feel him on that. It's a feeling. It's a mood. It's a it's a everything. So that irked him, and that set the ball rolling there. And then he tried to do Ghost to Ghost with the call-ins.
Yeah, I love those.
Right,
My favorite.
yeah, famous for that. So he tried to do Ghost to Ghost with the call-ins, but the call-ins were different. He couldn't. The flow he had before, it was so funny because I remember when this went down live, I was there for it, not in the room, but I was listening to it, and it was a big deal. So his first Ghost to Ghost that he was going to do on Sirius XM, who is already had, up his butt about because of the music and stuff. And again, don't blame him, but he was already got the wrong, burr in his seat, on it, So he's already mad. And then he starts getting the calls. The calls are dropping. You couldn't set him up the way he was used to or something like that, and there was no flow. It was just a crappy setup, and he was so pissed. And I remember he wasn't getting the amount of calls either because not everybody could call into this show. It was weird. It had some weird little caveat like a membership or some shit like that. I don't know, but he wasn't just getting Americana at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is bombastic at best. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. The older the shows are, the better they are.
Oh my god, Mel's Hole and all that stuff. It was amazing. So anyway,
Yeah.
he was all, and you could hear it in his voice, and you could hear his eyes rolling, and
Yeah.
and he had to stick with this one caller who was just absolutely saying, it was so sticky, and it was so uncomfortable and awkward. It was just terrible. And I remember it as clear as day because guess where I was, Laura? Guess where I was? It was Halloween weekend, and we were on our way back. It was probably, middle of the night because it's art, right? And we're on our way back from Gettysburg the first time I went in the field, and I crossed all the soldiers in the field. So, I mean, it was like the perfect ending to like leaving Gettysburg in the car, and it's dark, and you got him on speaker, and everybody's listening, and you could just hear the show dying. You could just hear him he'd already signed the papers. I don't care what it costs me. I'm out of this. He just didn't want any part of it. About halfway through that show, he was, I don't even think he was in the room anymore. It was just so bad. And I was there for that. So, yep. Somebody said he retired. He did, but there was a lot going on. If you were listening to Art at that time, he had people shooting at him. There was people, he had a picture, a desert. There's nothing around. There's no trees. You're wide open. He had the chain link fence, and there was pictures with his camera in his yard and stuff, and how people would shoot at him in the garage, and he'd try to make it to the house. And
That's insane.
Oh God, it was terrible. Am I the only one that remembers this shit?
Well, see, the sad thing is that I didn't know who he was when he passed away. I had just started getting into listening to paranormal podcasts, and I started following these paranormal people on Instagram, and everybody was posting rest in peace Art Bell, and I'm like, who is this guy? And I didn't know, and I just started listening to him this year, and I'm so sad that I never got to hear him live because I just love him so much.
Oh jeez, my whole life. So best Art Bell story ever. So well, for me in our family. So my son when he was, 5, my oldest, young. He's one of those kids that was reading 3rd grade books in kindergarten. I mean, he was just one of those kids. I can't explain it. Be in a tree reading a book, right? And be able to just one of those kids. So his thing was aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot. Imagine that. And all this.
Wonder where he got that from.
I can't imagine. And he would sneak with his transistor radio, and the little shit would put it in his pillowcase under his pillow. So he'd put it on his head, and he could listen to it through the pillow. I mean, I did similar, but I was never that good. So I would catch him, and and I'd be able to tell by what he was talking about at breakfast with his brother when I was in the kitchen, whether or not he was listening to Art Bell and how much he got through the story. So it got to be a big deal. And I remember once we moved out to the country, and he had progressed up to a larger radio with an antenna. And he must have been 7, 8, and he's hanging out the window. It's like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, school night. And I'm hearing this scratching around. I think somebody's climbing in the window. I open the door real slow and look, and he's up on the bunk bed, hanging over with the window and the antenna out the window, trying to get Art Bell to come in clear because we're in the, by the mountain, and he's trying to adjust it. And he just looks at me and he says, "But it's Art Bell, Mom." And I'm like, okay, just when it's over, go to sleep. Who wants to fight at 1 o'clock in the morning? He's going to do it anyway as soon as I shut the door. If he's anything like his mother, as soon as you shut the door, I'm right back up there with the antenna out the thing. And I flash back to all the times I had to stand there and hold the antenna with the foil, with the zenith and the rabbit ears and stuff. And how many people did that? Raise your hand where your dad or your grandpa or your grandma's soap operas, and you had to stand there because little kid over there with the rabbit ears and hold one leg out and an arm. They'd say, "Okay, stay still," so they could watch a little bit or finish the baseball game. How many people? There's hands up. Yep. Go get me the remote. Not change the TV. Go get me the remote. And the remote had 2 buttons on it. It was channel changer, which was 3 channels, and would go clunk, 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 clunk. And you didn't do volume or anything else. I can't remember what the other one was. It must have been off on, because you had to get up to change the volume, So anyway, I digress. So what do you think about the Lenard? How about the friggin' wallpaper? Did it speak to you? Did you catch the wallpaper?
No.
It's creepy.
I didn't.
It gave a vibe. Did anybody else pick up this wallpaper vibe?
I think someone else said they were talking about it. See, I get distracted because I'm reading the chat at the same time. I'm not good at multitasking.
It's hard. I'm all over it for you, Laura. I've got the chat. I miss something every once in a while. The reason, if you wonder sometimes why I don't say comment on certain chats, is because I think you're having a private conversation within the chat, and I don't want to bust into that, I mean, I know we're sharing it with everybody, but you can jump in and I forget what you call it, slide, and break up somebody's conversation. So that's fine. It's not a problem. It's just that's the only reason I don't share it, because you share comment number 8 or something. It's not gonna make any sense. I'm not gonna be able to figure it out. So there's that. Anyway. So I thought this was kind of cool. So basically all it is they're calling it Ghost Stakeout, but it's what every, I believe most today, paranormal investigators or psychics or mediums that are going in to read a house, now they're starting to do that. And I think there's a lot of money in this, guys. If we could all get who's got the abilities and get in a small place where they're selling a lot of new houses, and people could hire us to walk through before they buy it. I think there's money in that. If you want to get involved in that, we could have it global. We could have it cross. We got people in here across the pond, all over the place. We could start a little minute mediums or something like that. What would they call them? Would it have to have, I was thinking minute maids, whatever, the people that you could just hire and call them to come clean your house. Clean your house. There's something there. Hold on. Somebody work on that.
Man, Donnie, get on that.
Minute mediums will come and clean your house. I'm telling you, there's some marketing shit there. Am I right? Donnie, are you on this?
I think you're onto something there.
I'm telling you. So anyway, that's
you must be out smoking. I don't see him.
My son came by. He did give me some gummies. So if things go off the rails, not my fault. So, and they're already off the rail. I don't even think we made the rail yet. We're still sitting at the station, Laura, for Christ's sake. We haven't even we're not even on the train anymore. Okay, so the thing is I think it's just like a paranormal investigation, but aren't they all kind of like ghost stakeouts? We're all kind of like staking out. Maybe that's something new we can kind of bring back from the 70s, because I thought it was kind of neat. Now, as we go through this, again, I made this part of the tools and toys and techniques because it's a technique. You've got mediums going in there. They're taking notes. They're combining whatever their tactics may be, or the way they do things. It's all going up. What? What'd you get?
I got it. Donnie says rent a psychic. We could do like
Rent
a
a psychic.
app
Yeah.
thing instead of like a dating app like Tinder. It could be like a psychic app, and you could scroll through and
I
swipe on
think
your
they have
psychic
that.
that you
They
want.
have that. Don't they have dial Miss
What?
Delilah or something like that? Oh God, yeah, they've got 1-800 psychic.
What?
Oh hell, God,
Like,
yeah.
but like an
They
app
got that
though.
covered. They got that. I don't know if they have an app. That may be
Yeah.
something we could do, but I definitely want to get we'll clean your house. Minute Mediums, I'm telling you, there's something in that. We need to know if we get, is Minute Maid, that's a juice, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a Minute Maid cleaning squad, isn't there? There is up
They're,
here, up
they're
north.
Mary Maids. Is that what you're thinking
That's
of?
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. All right, well, Minute Maid, we could do lemons and house cleaning, because lemons are clean. Lemon scented everything, right? I'm telling you, somebody work on that. My parents were in advertising. Mom, Dad, you got anything? Send it down. This is the time. All right, so anyway, they're basically, they're looking for ghosts, is what we're saying. They just have their way of doing it. And then now they were a little sad because all this happened. The girl jumps off the cliff and they're still haunted. But the people are okay with it. They were all chill. They got their horses and everything. You know, what?
Donnie
Mediums, well
goes.
done. Mediums, well done. I like that. Mediums, well done. I don't know how it fits, but I like the sound of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Kinda.
wait a minute. Yes, there is a medium. Wait a minute. What is this? Mary Maids. Wait a minute. Hang on. Yes, there is Mary Maids. My neighbor uses them. Okay, so there you go. Mary Maids, Mary Mediums. We'll clean your house. Lemon scented, something or other. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, who's in? Because I think it's great. Okay, Gray's in. Thank you. There you go. I bet you Aunt Edna would be involved. Absolutely. We need secretaries. We need posters. We need, oh my God, we need a logo. And we need a price. How much are we going to charge for this? Right? Are we going to charge? See? If we charge, will that make us fakes? I don't know. See? You got to think about all that. You know, I mean, this is
Gotta
one of
have
those
something for
subjects.
gas money.
Yeah. Most of the people I know will accept gas money, you know, because they'll travel.
Right.
Psh, I've traveled 8 hours to help a dead stranger. I can honestly say that. That's a t-shirt. Oh God, we're going to be, by the end of this show, if we do all these things, the apps and the house cleaning, call us before you sign the papers. Call us before you put your name, your John Hancock. It needs work. There's something there. Anyway, I'm going to finish, Leonard. You want to say anything before I start Leonard
No,
back up?
I'm just trying to think something like salt with like
Miss
salt
Cleo.
and cleansing or something instead
Salt
of
lemon.
lemons.
Oh my gosh. Lemons are such a pretty color, though. Salt's cut it out. We need to work on it. Maybe the salted lemon. Now we're back into bartending. Now I'm thinking tequila. I better put Leonard back on. I'm thinking tequila now. Here we go. We're still staking out ghosts. Here we go. They're going to the next house. This is so fun. Oh, this was it. This was the intermission. Everybody get a snack. Grab a snack. Remember Casper? How cool is Casper? Everybody grab
Yeah.
a snack. Get your shut
Oh,
the
the
fuck up
cupcakes!
Get your shut the fuck up cakes, your bacon, your beer, your adult beverage, your goodies, your
Nestled
snacks.
in the foothills
Here
of the
you go.
Sierra Nevada mountains of California is a country inn called the Vineyard House. It has been a way station for weary travelers ever since the days of the gold rush. Journalist Antoinette May was contacted by the owners of the inn because they believe their property is haunted. The house was built by Robert Chalmers, a miner who became rich during the gold rush of 1849. But tragedy struck when Chalmers went insane at the peak of his success. His house has been plagued by unexplained phenomena ever since. Recently, experiences have become so chilling that guests, such as Marion Sharp, are afraid to spend the night.
You're on mute.
That's the best part about having a co-host. They tell you you're on mute. I said I didn't want to say anything out loud, too much, but I want to know what y'all think about Miriam after this. I mean, not to pick on her or anything, but I get a certain vibe. Want to know if you're picking up on that too. Check her out, Laura.
I gotta pay more attention. No more chat.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart. Okay, here we go.
Marion had come here for a weekend vacation, but did not have a restful visit.
I awakened around 4 in the morning with an overwhelming sense of anxiety and terror, as if I had awakened from a very bad dream, but I had not had a bad dream. I was immobilized with fear. There was an acceleration of pulse and heart, and I felt terribly warm and highly agitated, and I was fighting tears for a period of time, and then finally I was crying. And overhead there was a light footfall, as if a woman were walking back and forth across the room. Then there began a series of banging doors, one after another, slamming. We could see nothing in the dimly lit corridor, but we could hear the slamming and banging of doors. Well, I'd be pleased to come to dinner, but there is no way that I would ever think to stay a night. Never.
Having nowhere else to turn, the owners of the inn asked the psychic team to communicate with the ghost in an attempt to free its restless spirits. Anxious to help, the psychics decide to spend the night. The Vineyard House still affords the wayward traveler a warm fire and a hearty dinner.
Are they all this busy?
Well, this one has a lot of history.
Sylvia's husband, Dal Brown, and Nick's wife, Chris Nocerino, are also on the stakeout.
Yeah.
Did you take notes?
Yeah.
As they ready for sleep, the psychics jot down their initial feelings. A strong sense of apprehension falls over the house. Hearing strange noises, Nick ventures into the hallway and begins to pick up psychic vibrations.
I'm telling you, it's the wallpaper, man.
Also awakened from a fitful sleep, Sylvia joins him. The house seems alive with energy. The psychics try to communicate with the ghost, but contact remains elusive. Early in the morning, our ghost hunters enter the cemetery where the bodies of the original owners, Louise and Robert Chalmers, are buried. The psychics sift through all their impressions to piece together the story. Is there a ghost in the house? And if so, is it Chalmers who had gone insane? Or is it his wife?
I feel tragedy. I find almost a Romeo and Juliet kind of a tragedy. A woman who loved a very vital man, his demise, and her devastation from it. The woman that...
Now, I want everybody to pay attention real close here. what she just said, his demise, and her just devastation over what she did, right? Check this out. You're not gonna believe this shit. I swear, man. Oh my, things people do to each other. Here we go.
Seems to be the strongest influence in this house by the name of Louise. I think in some way has been tremendously maligned. I think out of pity, caring, and certainly love, that she chained this man in the basement in order that he wouldn't hurt himself. And I think in her mind, she felt that she just couldn't send him away to what we might think of an early snake pit type of confinement that they had in mental hospitals.
Somebody's singing. It's an old song. It goes something like, I come from Alabama.
Banjo on
Oh,
my knee.
Susanna, with a banjo on my knee. I'm coming to thee.
I feel that Louise is still in a protective situation in the house, and even this stone is almost like a symbolic reminder that she's still going to overlook her house and protect, let's say, her domain. Her personality is so strong and protecting that it's she that walks the halls. And I think this protection has lasted beyond the grave. I think she's here.
Well, I think Louise is very despondent over losing her money, her land, and everything, and she has a possession on the house. She still sees the house as fulfilling her ambitions. And there are no ambitions to be fulfilled here. She'll be there a long time.
Sylvia and Nick say they are unable to expel the spirit of Louise because her presence, her guilt, is too strong. Ghost hunting is at best an inexact process. What determines success or failure is often in the mind of the observer. The ghost seekers believe they have failed, but only future guests at the Vineyard Inn will be able to make such a judgment. Psychics who are sensitive to the supernatural claim it is possible to contact the spirits in a haunted house. Traumas, such as a broken love affair or an untimely death, prevent these spirits from accepting their own demise. Supposedly, they linger in our world, trapped by their own turmoil. Ghost hunters try to comfort them, but they are not always successful.
That iconic music.
Sometimes the ghost may be freed from bondage. Sometimes it may be imprisoned in its earthly home for eternity.
So true. This is what goes on in my studio when I'm not at home. Actual footage. Is he just the cutest? I just loves him. I just loves him. So what do you think about that, man? I mean, here she is so tied to that ground because of what she had to do for somebody she loved. As Aunt Edna said here, and a lot of people have, the insane asylums were horrible then. The hospitals weren't much better in some cases, and they had to choose. So there's many. Steve and I have talked about these rooms that you'd have the cousin in, you know, and they'd live all that time. You bring a tray of food, shove it under the door. My God, some of the things that people have gone through. And I thought it was a very important point to make tonight. It's hard to look at, but you know, it would just be my advice to any paranormal investigator, anybody that's got a house that they think may be haunted, anywhere you go and somebody's talking to you about their house being haunted, keep in mind, we have no idea what these people went through. It could be a situation like this man who was locked up for God knows how long, and this woman who is, she's stuck here because of what she had to do, those two things. And I wonder, Laura, are they even both aware of each other's presence in this situation? We don't know.
Yeah, I think there's cases where they don't know
Absolutely.
sometimes because they're on, I don't know how that works, different planes or whatever, but I've heard that before.
Absolutely. And I think that's as heartbreaking. So you got to figure in what's going on with the universe that something like this can go on. And is it in some small way up to light workers and people that have these abilities? Are we supposed to be more aware of this and helping? Are we like almost like a missing link in this, to where we're not connecting consciously into, oh my gosh, there's somebody in my bathroom who at the time that was a closet and they spent 30 years locked up in there because they had epilepsy or something. You know, I mean, you don't know. And everybody's always judging. You know, you walk in, you think about these investigators who provoke to get evidence, you know, and we all know how I feel about that. You know,
I hate that too.
I'm not telling you what to do, but I don't approve of it. And this is one of the reasons why. You don't know who you're dealing with.
No.
You don't know who the Looney Tune standing behind you in the grocery store line is. You know, what's going on in their mind and how, you know, I just watched somebody, two in New Jersey, cars that one was a road rage and I think the other one was an accident that turned to road rage, where the son of a gun chased down the person in one of the cars and ran him over, came back around, backed over him and did it again. That happened twice in New Jersey 2 weeks ago within 3 days. You hear about that?
No, I didn't, but I have a quick
saying
story
people.
that kind of, yeah. So let me tell you this quick. I've had a few bartending jobs. The very last night that I bartended, the place I worked at was all like the walls, the outside walls. It was on the corner of a city, like, and it was wall like glass, so you could see. It was all windows. So this group of people come up and there's these girls out there, and next thing you know, you see these guys run up and they start beating these dudes with a baseball bat, like in their heads, everything.
Yep.
And then I had heard that someone had a gun, so I'm literally I got down, sat on the floor behind the bar before it cleared out, and then I was texting my friend, and this is like plenty of bars are on the street, and like there's cops everywhere. And then I don't even remember what happened. Next thing you know, one of my friend's friend is coming to get me to take me down to like another bar, like their apartment. And I went to their apartment for a while, and I was just getting ready to like finally leave and go home because I was really shaken up for a while. And then I go to walk out on the street. Next thing you know, there's some car that's literally, I can't remember if they were backing up or I think they were driving into another car. Like they smashed into them and they just kept revving their gas pedal into them. And then cops are running out in the street, drawing their weapons, like, get out of your vehicle, everything. And I just had a panic attack straight then and there. And then I didn't go home then. And I think I had like called my dad to say, you know, because I was living with my grandfather at the time, and I called my dad to say, you know, tell him that I won't be home tonight. I didn't want to wake my grandfather up. And he goes, you know, he's like, I just woke up from a really bad nightmare. And he said that there was like a 6-car pileup accident, which would have been on my way home at the same time. Like just crazy shit. I was like, I'm quitting. I'm done. No more bartending. No more of this shit. Cause like, it's just crazy.
I had a 5-shot Taurus, 357 on my ankle when I bartended. I had it down to the point where I could still do it. 60, I could still whip my foot around, point it right at you, reach down, and I had it to where if I tucked my pinky toe, I wouldn't even have to take it out of the holster to shoot your ass. There's this one time, do you want to hear the story? You want to hear a bartending story? Best bartending story. Well, it's in the top 10 of mine. I mean, you have to say, shot of tequila, no salt's got to be the best. But anyhow, same bar. So we used to have people come down all the time, TDY. And of course, it was one of those at the back end, they'd sell a little cheaper to like the wackadoos. They came out of the rock and roll club across the street. They just walk across to get just drunk off their ass, right?
Yeah, man, people, I have other stories too. It's just like.
Oh my God, yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, this one guy comes in. Now, he was nice when he was eating. He ate. He was in with a friend, whatever. But I could tell he was popping stuff, and he was one of those. You know, he was a pill popper dude. Mm-hmm. And he was getting a little crazy, and I wound up cutting him off, and, they took a beer to the room, whatever. So, he comes back down. I'm closing up. The dude comes back down wearing nothing but a bad attitude and a pair of boxer shorts. And he comes, and I swear to God, this is true. My hand to all the spirits that are in this room watching me. So he comes in, I turn around, I'm like, did you lose your way? Do you need help getting back to your room? I'll call the manager, which was, you don't pick up the phone and call, you just yell, hey, Bert, because he's right on the other side of the wall, and he come running. So anyway, big dude, I love Bert. But anyway, so this guy looked like he was going to be some fun. So he starts just really threatening me, and he's got a problem, and it's it's big, and it's bold, and it's drunk, and it's on 4 different kinds of pills. So he starts like saying all this stuff that I don't understand because he's out of his mind. And I'm putting together basically he's pissed at me probably for cutting him off earlier.
Oh yeah, they don't like when you do that.
No, fuck him. So he I saved some lives. Pardon me, right? That's how we feel.
How dare you?
In some cases, in some states, you'll go to jail if you don't do it. So,
Oh no, it's a whole thing. Like I was like certified. Like I had to be certified to do all this shit.
All
like you get taught. Like you get fined. The establishment gets fined. It's not a joke.
No.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a joke if you let them get in a car and go kill themselves too.
It doesn't matter even if they're walking nothing.
Line. No, it's a fine line. I've had to throw out so many people. Oh my God, And boy, they get surprised when a 5'4" chick comes up and does something to them that makes them move right for the front door. I'm here to tell you, it's nothing like it. It's awesome. But anyway, so this guy. He comes up and he's threatening me and he's going to do this, he's going to do that. I'm like, oh yeah, really? So I'm like, listen, you got one more chance to turn your ass around and go back to your room. I'll get you some help if you want, but if you're going to mess with me, I'm telling you right now, we're going to end it quick. And I said, is there anything? And he stood there and he kind of looked at me. He did one of these blue, this look where they're kind of barely standing up and they're trying to hold air to keep from falling. You know what I'm saying? So he's kind of weaving, but he's thinking. He's got an eyebrow up, and he's reading me. He's seeing, is this bitch crazy enough to, what is she going to do? So I said, look, man, I'm tired of messing with you. I pulled out a bottle of vodka and a lighter. And I'm like, I will light your ass up so fast you have no idea. And I said, is there anything in my face that gives you any idea that I'm lying right now? Try me. And I just stood there. And he was like, I just wanted a hamburger. And off he went. And I'm like, cool. So that's my bartending story. You ready for another one? We're so far. We're not even at the station anymore. So that's and yes, I would have lit him up like, like a Roman candle, baby. You bet I would have. Yep. I would have put him out. So this one is crazy. Enjoy.
Okay, I'm gonna pay attention this time. I'm done looking at the chat. I get too distracted.
What kind of toys do you play with? These guys are Unbelievable.
For centuries,
Enjoy this.
psychics and mediums have attempted to pull back the dark curtain of mystery that separates the land of the living from the realm of the dead. Some claim to have successfully recorded spirit voices on electronic equipment. In 1920, Thomas Edison experimented with a device designed to pick up the voices of those beyond the grave. What were the strange sounds captured by this updated version of Edison's machine? Are we ready to establish direct communication with the spirit world?
You know this was going to be fun, don't you?
Man has always been frightened by the dark, troubled by the sound of echoing laughter or hollow footsteps passing down long, empty corridors. At the S&A studios in Hollywood, California, there has been a history of occurrences that some say is beyond the realm of understanding. Many of the tales emanate from behind the massive doors of soundstage number 1. Mary Pickford once acted here. Cecil B. DeMille directed. One man recreates his own astonishing story.
My name is Jerry Fitzpatrick. I was the construction coordinator at this studio for approximately 4 years. It is one of the oldest sound stages in Hollywood. It was one particular night I remember I worked all night by myself. We had a large set to build and I was here alone laying it out. I was tired, but I remember I stepped back over in this area to take a look at what I had done. But at that time, there used to be a catwalk right up here, about 15 feet off the ground, from one end of the soundstage to the other. Also, at that time, there was a staircase that came from this door down to floor level. It was at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard the door open and close and footsteps coming down the catwalk.
I don't care who you are, that's creepy.
I immediately called out, "Who's there?" And the footsteps stopped. There was total silence. So I ran up the steps to check the door, and the door was bolted, like all the security doors were, and the alarm system was on. The hour was late and I was tired, but I heard that door open and close, and footsteps coming down the catwalk.
I believe him too. You know, you don't have any reason not to.
Some have
know?
suggested the theory that the dead may occasionally re-enter our own time and space. Confused by their predicament, the spirits may call out for help or attempt to communicate. Many would suggest that the strange noises in this old studio are the product of overactive imaginations, but others aren't so certain. Could spirits actually be attempting to speak to us? One man may have uncovered evidence that implies spirit communication may occur with remarkable frequency. D. Scott Rogo is the author of Phone Calls from the Dead.
Well, I first heard about the...
I gotta stop it here because I don't know if you've ever heard of D. Scott Rogo. I was gonna do a slideshow for him. Laura, had you ever heard of him?
I don't think so.
I think once this is over, I have a little bit here. I'm going to play for you, and I'm going to tell you a little story. But listen to the man. He's no longer with us, and he has a very intriguing story about why he's not with us anymore. So I didn't know if anybody else had heard from him in the chat, but he's written over... I think he wrote something like 23, 25 books. He's a parapsychologist. Fantastic books. Phone Calls from the Dead, Leaving Your Body. He got into the psychic ability to that we all have to open your mind, your chakra, and all that too. He doesn't look like it. Extremely deep man. Really nice from what I get, and he didn't deserve what he got in the end here, but this is one of the last interviews that he did. So I just wanted to make sure you guys heard all that. There you go.
These cases when I first entered the field, which was close to 10, 12 years ago. And I really didn't take them seriously at all. I thought they were very outlandish. It was hard for me to believe that people were actually getting phone calls from people who were dead. But as the years progressed and I did more and more investigations, I discovered that these calls were fairly common. And then I realized that there was a major effect here that someone really had to study.
Mary Meredith of Oklahoma City recreates the night she purportedly received a phone call from the dead.
Hello? Of course, I don't tell everybody about it because a lot of people still think that I'm crazy when they even hear about it. But I know that it was, and it happened to me.
Mary Meredith's case occurred in 1977. She had just been in the hospital. She had returned to her home not knowing that there was a letter waiting for her telling her that her cousin had died. She had been very close to this cousin. It was very soon after she read this letter from her mother that the phone rang, and it was from her cousin.
It just really upset me when I got the phone call, and I hung up on the first phone call because it upset me. But when she called back again, I said, I cannot believe that anyone would call someone and tell them that it's their cousin when my cousin is dead. I can't believe this. I said, and I have been sick, and I can't believe anyone would pull something on me like this. She said, but I know you've been sick. I was at the hospital with you. And I said, what are you talking about? And the phone started getting crackling, and then I couldn't hear her. It just faded away.
The idea that the dead can contact the living through electromagnetic devices is certainly not new with my research. Thomas Edison, for instance, several years before his death, became very fascinated with the idea that he could invent a machine that could bring through the voices of the dead, and even apparently made some sketches of such equipment. Edison, as is well known, was extremely paranoid about his ideas and kept them very, very hidden, so he never patented his ideas. But certain sketches did surface after his death, which purported to be the machine he was working on.
The year is 1920. Thomas Edison is 73 years old, inventor of the light bulb, the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and countless other devices. The grand old man of science focuses his genius on audio contact with the spirit world.
Amazing, isn't it? How long ago? And we're still at it.
Edison claimed his research was unfruitful, but some believe he was on the verge of success. In another laboratory, 60 years later, an inventor may be following in Edison's footsteps. Al Manning is the head of the ESP Center in Los Angeles, California.
You might not expect a person with a background in aerospace to be interested in spirit contact and other psychic things, but it happened for me in a very practical way. I was studying a big printout of figures, and I knew there was a mistake on the page, not knowing where, but as I ran my finger down the column, I felt a buzz under it. And sure enough, when we checked that line, that was where the mistake was. This was certainly enough to kindle my interest in spirit contact in the occult. It led to...
I'm going to stop it right quick. This is exactly what I explained to you guys happens to me. If a situation happens, how many times have you heard me say it? We've got this paranormal chain of help, so when somebody calls me or somebody, there's an issue, sometimes, oh, sorry, that had to be loud.
No, it didn't seem too loud to me.
You cool? So, the thing is I'll do that sometimes over my contacts or, who am I supposed to, somebody might be in a certain social media or something, and I'll run it down my contacts, and I actually feel that buzzing, that energy he's talking about. I actually like this guy. He seems a little weird, a little off, but you kind of warm up to him a little bit, and you kind of think this is just, I'd like to sit down and have a talk with this group, but this group that's coming up, man, it's a trip. I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but I just thought it was really intriguing, all the different things that they were trying. And it might not be a bad idea to reach back, what is 50, 60 years ago, and try some of the things they were trying, and mix them with what we do today, too. Might not be a bad idea, but anyway, isn't that a trip with the finger, the energy? It blew me away when he described that, because that's happened to me many a time.
A study of ritual and ceremony to enhance the contact with spirit and other magical things.
As Manning's research efforts grew, he gathered around him a group interested in exploring the field of spirit contact. If they succeed, the potential rewards could be immense. Some believe that an awesome source of knowledge may become available to those able to break through the barrier that separates the living from the dead. Al Manning recreates a moment when he claims he accomplished direct contact with a spirit entity.
I was sitting in meditation one day, and a spirit showed me a picture of a device, wild-looking thing, and spoke the word mica. I didn't understand it. I said, "Do you mean formica?" Very clearly it came back, "No, mica." I don't know how it works.
While photographing Al Manning's crystal device, cameras recorded a possibly strange phenomenon. Is it a reflection, a defect in the film emulsion, or like Thomas Edison, has Al Manning made a breakthrough of possible scientific significance?
The work of Thomas Edison, both in his research methods and his persistence, have always fascinated me. So when we came across partial plans for a device that he had been working on to contact spirit by recording their voices, we thought we would try once more in this area. We have done other things in the past unsuccessfully. And I don't know if this one is going to work, but we're going to use the old home recorder for the cone particularly, along with an extra long antenna with flashing lights, in hopes of attracting the local spirits to us so that they can participate in recording the voices.
Off they go.
What explanation is there for the remarkable sounds recorded through Al Manning's machine late at night in the graveyard? In an old cemetery in Sierra Madre, California, members of the Orange County Society of Psychic Research have gathered to try some unusual experiments. On this day, various electronic devices will be tested for their ability to contact the dead. Harry Shepard directs the group.
We are feeling for vibrations from the various markers. You can feel the outline of the spirit, and when they're there, you can sense it. And this is the way we determine the best area to do the spirit voice recordings.
I get a sinking feeling here, and the child on the other side, I get a pulling over there.
It's just like shots of electricity are coming out of the ends of your fingers, and on the stone.
It's cold, too, the stone.
Yeah. There's two very, very strong entities right in this area. Very strong.
Yeah, you could feel
I like it right
coming
in
from the other stone.
Later, I like
right but in other parts it was cold. This one here, feel this one here, Dick.
This would be a very good spot to tape, right in here.
Well, that is. That's different.
Tell me you hadn't done this.
It's even different over there. So many great
We've done similar.
This place is fantastic. The cemetery is one of the best in the area.
As the group gathered psychic impressions, technicians began setting up a battery of recording equipment.
Okay, we'll be going just after dark. So if your locals
Microphones and cable were strung out to areas that attracted the psychics. Fresh recording tape was carefully loaded into each machine and labeled.
Look at all that
Now that
equipment,
the
man.
sun is set and it's dark
crazy,
here,
right?
You're always reminded that you wonder what kind of spirits you might run into in a graveyard, but it feels comfortable here, so let's see how it all comes out. Over here, we have our updated version of the Edison machine. We've incorporated the crystal because it gave us an interesting auric manifestation before. And this wire leads to the antenna with the flashing lights. And behind us are the tape recorders in case we get some sounds that will need serious analysis later.
Why don't we try to get into a very relaxed state. Everybody close your eyes and just breathe normally. And let that beautiful, relaxed feeling start to flow down your face, down your arms, down to your legs, and out to your feet. And go receptive at every breath you take. If there's any spirit entities here that would like to communicate with us, we have 3 microphones mounted on this pedestal. You may speak into any of these 3 microphones, or you may rap on them for a yes or no answer.
How long have you been in the spirit world?
Is there anyone on Earth that you would like us to deliver a message to for you?
Is there anything that we can do?
The questions continued all night. When the session was over, more than 5,000 feet of tape had passed through the recorders.
Ooh. Thank you for your cooperation.
The following weeks were spent analyzing the sounds recorded at the graveyard. Technician John Kawamoto spent over 30 hours noting the dozens of unusual sounds on the tapes. When his log was complete, the psychics were invited to listen to the tapes and interpret what they heard.
Joe, you ready?
What is that? What's right there? I know.
What is that? Whoa.
It's a growling.
Yeah. Joe, you ready?
Right there.
Wow, listen to that.
Somebody's singing in the
Back it off.
Joe, you ready?
Right there.
Remember that one tape that we got before that had that real weird voicing in it, that real bad sounding voice? That sounds similar to a dick. Very, very similar to that one.
Right.
Remember we did that about 3 years ago, and we got that rrrr sound.
Oh, and there's that.
Yeah, that is a beautiful one.
Okay, now that we listen to the microphones, let's take a look at the telephone and see what we see.
We got some fantastic stuff earlier. Let's see what we have here. If there's any spirits here, we now have this telephone with us that is attached to this microphone and at this tape recorder through here. And you can use this now, if you wish, with the other microphones to communicate with us.
Can you hear me?
That's loud. That's a very loud and clear.
Go back.
Yeah,
With
let's
normal
back it
speed, we'll hear the clicking, and if we slow it down to 16th or 1/16th of the speed, slows the voice way down, and we can stretch it out and hear the syllables in it instead of just a click or a pop sound.
That's right, because a lot of times when we slow it down, we can hear a word that normally you couldn't hear at normal speed.
Right.
But
Okay,
I
this
didn't know whether
is
it's
slowed
supposed to
down to 16 times, or we'll try it and see what happens.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Wow.
Okay, I just went back. I'll go forward again.
Yeah. What? It's definitely 2 words.
Sound like,
Yeah,
sound
16.
like it said listen that time.
It's the same. Get two different voices.
Help me, boy.
Help
That
me
was
backwards.
really clear. That was really clear backwards. Now, and listen was forward, right?
Uh-huh. It's a... excellent voice. Sound quality of it was very, very good.
And I think, too, the importance is slowing the tape and
Tape
speeding down.
down.
Something that you think is just a pop, in this sort of taping can turn out to be all kinds of things.
Now let's see how we did with the Edison machine.
I think
Yeah,
that's a
let's
great
go
idea.
do it. Yeah, let's
do
see
it.
what the Edison machine shows us.
You got it going here.
To our spirit friends, would you please direct your answers into the horn so that we can record them readily?
Are you happy where you are now?
Do you like this form of communications?
Do you have any suggestions for improving our equipment for easier communication with you?
Would you prefer that we turn off the blinking lights?
Is Thomas Edison with you?
This is the oddest question. I'm sorry.
Can we slow that?
Oh, listen, right
that
there.
down?
Tickled me.
Okay, yeah.
That's right where that
Right.
humming started, right
That-
there when you
that's where
turn the
it
lights
sounds
on.
like singing or something. Yeah. The slower
And
might
it was just when the lights got turned on.
Okay, you want it slow.
Yeah, 16. Let's do it at the 16th speed. Listen to the humming noise.
It's like a lot of activity or something centered right inside.
You know what it actually sounds like? It's energy vortex. Like an energy vortex in there.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a center of energy.
Dynamo, I tell you.
It's a good
Got his
machine.
dynamo working.
Interesting.
Is there any way that machine could have been creating that type of sound from the inside?
No, the machine wouldn't create it from the inside, but that horn will really focus the energy so that when the spirit would direct the energy into the horn, you'd get that kind of a manifestation.
Okay, but there's not any kind of way that from inside, like because of whirling or
The horn
machinery or
is-
something?
Yeah, nothing is moving in there. Then
Oh,
the
and
horn is
that's
perfectly
really
still.
interesting.
There was nothing connected.
It's energy,
How about-
vortex right there in the which
While the
causes
pops, squeaks, and whines recorded at the graveyard may not constitute hard evidence of spirit contact, Harry has a suggestion for those who doubt his work.
If people are a bit skeptical, if they would try it themselves at least once, then there's a very good chance that they would get something on tape themselves, if they do it with an open mind.
Will we ever have a major breakthrough in the field of spirit voice contact?
Just as many of us are interested in trying to establish contact with the dead might be just as interested in contacting the living. Phone calls from the dead, cases of voices that appear on electronic recording equipment, and other similar manifestations might be the successful result of active experimentation on the other side to make contact with the living. There may come a day in the very distant future when contact with the dead is an everyday occurrence. But the major breakthrough leading to this result might actually be due to experiments produced by scientists on the other side and not through any attempts by us on this side of death.
Why won't you play with me?
I love this shit, man. I really do. Ooh, keep the feet out of the covers, people. This is what's going on the other side of the blanket. Oh my god.
Your closet door shut.
Ooh, things that go bump in the night, baby. So true. Isn't that just the creepiest? Ooh. Think about it. You're sitting there looking at your phone. Oh gosh. Oh, and those things, the only thing stopping it is the blanket. I don't know what the magic is in the blanket. So what do you think? the different toys. Now they're not very different from stuff today. I mean, as far as crazy or let's try it, give it a whirl, right?
Hmm.
What did you think about that? I
Yeah, I
love
mean,
their attitude.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's, I mean, other people probably would, but I don't think it's crazy. I mean,
Right.
it's basically like today we have a smaller version of it, which everything from technology always starts out bigger and then we compact it. But
How about that equipment? Oh my gosh.
yeah,
The reel to
lugging all
reels.
that out there.
But a lot of groups do. I mean, they'll have microphones and cameras in every room. I mean, the
Hmm.
way we've changed and all that's changed. I mean, you've got so many different gadgets and things. I mean, from your typical EMFs to recorders to, gosh, they're using cat toys now, which I think is genius because
It
they
is.
spend so much money on the bears and stuff like that. I realize the bear has a little bit more to it because if it's a child ghost, that might be drawn more to it for the style, the shape, the look.
But
But
I
the
mean,
cat toys go even if you breathe on 'em. So
well, as far as, I mean, those bears are super expensive. I've seen
yes,
them. Why couldn't you just bring your own stuffed animals
right,
and
yeah.
do whatever? I
Well,
mean, somebody might know better than me, but I don't know.
it's gadget. It's like anything else. It's gadgets, and you
Yeah.
might get that one that you resonate with. I
Hmm.
think that has something to do. I mean, chat, you might, disagree with me here, but I think it's not just the equipment. I think it's the person using it and the people around you
Hmm.
and the energy of the spirit. I mean, they could have been surrounded in that graveyard by 50, 100 spirits that were just checking in. Oh, somebody's here, activity, and drawn to it. Not necessarily stuck, but there. And one or two responded, of the stronger ones or the ones with energy or
Hmm.
whatever. And then again, you got it on a different frequency, and how is the sound and the vibration different? Do you have to speed it up or slow it down? I loved how they did that and played with it a little bit, and now you could just take that same amount of people with the equipment of today and turn on any old ghost hunters for whichever season you want, and you're seeing the same thing just in a modern way. Yeah, you're seeing Frank's box and that thing. I hate the thing. I'm sorry if this is
I
one of
think
your
I know what you're
favorite
talking
pieces
about.
of equipment, but that
I hate that too. I
it's
don't
always so
understand
loud.
it.
I don't understand it. Dave explains it very well from Keystone State Paranormal Society. He likes that one a lot, and he understands it, and so does Ernie from oh gosh, Paranormal Inc. So many names, so many groups, and I love them all. But they explain it, and they're saying basically the same thing about it has to. It's not even getting full words mostly from the stations that it's scanning. So it's basically really fast white noise, like as if you were turning a dial on a radio station. Similar,
Hmm.
similar. I might
Frequencies.
be making it too, not doing it justice, I'm sure. But anyway, it's it's such a quick timing that it doesn't even really have to get, like if I said Barbara, it might have to pull that from two different places to get that full word. Does this make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
But it's excruciatingly annoying. And imagine it if it's annoying to our human ears. What are they thinking? And how are they
Yeah.
responding to it?
Yeah.
I like the calmer things. I think a calm environment, but that's just me. That's just me. I don't go kicking indoors and,
No.
who the hell's in here? Let's get crossing. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. You're bothering the people. Think about it. That's how some of them sound. Were these people as loony kind of tunes that had a flavor? It had a little crazy on there, the way it looked because of the time and the way television was, and that wallpaper, man. There was some that wallpaper was mesmerizing. It was like calling me. I can't be the only one. There was something about that stuff. But so anyway, I just, it might have looked loony with the flashing lights and all that stuff, but think about it. Is it any really different from us putting up a plasma
No.
ball or energy or batteries for them to draw energy from?
Right.
You know, somebody may look at that because of the vintage feel to it and the way they dressed and everything, of course, in their hair, and the cool almond kitchens with all the Priscilla curtains and stuff. But I don't think it's much different from today, and
No, it really wasn't.
I feel two ways about that. It's comforting, and it's also cool to go back and go, hey, what did they do? Can we incorporate that? Maybe it sparks a new idea, something with your equipment that you already have, or something else, because, gosh, who was the first one to the flashlight turn on and off? And I know that everybody thinks that's been debunked, but I'm standing in a dark basement, and I say, turn on the flashlight if you would like help, and the flashlight comes on, and I'm standing there, and there's no magnet, there's no nothing under the floor. I put the flashlight there, I'm 3 feet from it. That's a whole debunk that. You know what I mean? I can see if I was trying to trick and make a video to make money on YouTube, I would have a reason to do that, or whatever people have reasons to fake this stuff. You know what I mean? It's just, why? I don't get it. But that's a different mindset. I'm not there, so I wouldn't get it. Why people would go through so much trouble to do that for fame, for clicks, whatever. But people do it all the time. Look at TikTok.
I mean,
look at TikTok. What I mean? So, but these guys aren't. I mean, that little fella there, he was sincere as all get out. Don't you think? And Miriam, bless her heart. Now, I saw a lot of talk about that before we close out here. Bless your heart is the way. It's a Southern way of when, it's like Mary Jane and her Aunt Edna, boy, they sit there on the porch and they throw back. I know there's that vodka's, more vodka in that lemonade than they're saying. She fell down the stairs the other day, bless her heart. And you're saying bless her heart because you know that you just said a bunch of really nasty gossip about somebody and told their business all over the place, but you want to finish it up with a little, but God loves you still, and South kind of keeps their crazy right out front. The South, at least the South that I know, and I've lived in several southern states, like to keep their crazy on the front porch and hand it a cocktail. You see what I mean? So bless your heart kind of goes along with that. Whereas in the North, in Jersey, they're going to run you over, go around the block, come back and run you over again. The whole time thinking they're absolutely justified in doing so. There's your difference between North and South. So I got to tell you this before we cut out of here. If you disagree with that, please understand, disclaimer, I've lived in both North and the South. I feel I have a right to speak. Although I may have it very wrong, but it's my vantage point. So there's that. So anyway, D. Scott Rogo. Now this is a little bit more of a serious subject. If you had heard of him, now Sean, again, if you're not subscribed to Sean, go over there to his channel. Drop your link, Sean. Great stuff.
Oh, you got to give him a wrench at some point. I can drop his link, or somebody else could do it.
Hang on. I'll do it right now. Da da da. Can we get some Jeopardy music?
I don't sing.
Boom, boom. There you go. The whole thing, no extra charge. Okay, so D. Scott Rogo. Now this, if you hadn't heard of him for his books, I mean, really, I really like a lot of the stuff that he did, and he really picked great subjects. One of my favorites being Phone Calls from the Dead, as they kind of had him there as like the expert on it. That little story with the lady got the call from her cousin who had died and said she had been in the hospital with her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a whole nother thing, but how cool was that? So anyway, if you had seen him, you may recall back in, I believe it was either an Old Sightings or an Old Unsolved Mysteries. He was on there, and they were featuring him as the not ghost hunter. They didn't call him that. Sorry, the parapsychologist or the investigator, whatever, that had a murder mystery. So his story basically is, in 1990, a neighbor of his had noticed that his sprinklers had been running all day and probably for a
Oh
couple of days.
no.
If for a couple of days, if I don't have that wrong. And it was no, it was very odd. It's in California, and they had a water restriction and everything else. So
Mhm.
it was doubly odd. It was just something somebody wouldn't do in that community. So he of course called, and it was found that he was dead in the living room, and he had been murdered. I forget exactly what. I can't remember whether it was like a blow to the head or something along those lines. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So of course, it got a lot of press, and he was famous author, and in the time, at least he was a published author with many books, and that was that. But because he was in this community, of course, a lot of psychics and mediums and people like that would be asked to look in on the case. I mean, you've already got your team, your tribe is right there, right? So many psychics came in and converged on this to try to get an answer, much like happened in Sean's show the other night. Yeah. So they all got together, and several of them got that he was killed by more than one person, was in the house. And of course, this is just repeating what they had said. There's
Right.
much dispute back and forth on this. So, I'm just focusing on this part because it's, what we get. So, so that was several psychics. I think it was more than 5. So there you go. That's a lot. 2 would be something getting the same thing. So it was looked into that he was the type of guy that would hire, people down and out, right? Through the church, like they would come in, homeless would come in for a meal or whatever like that. And, well, hey, he's got yard work. He's got, whatever. They're also, I don't know what else could have been going on there. This is what the psychics were saying. So supposedly one of the guys he had hired before was on drugs, brought another guy with him. He offered him money to do the yard. He wanted more money. An argument ensued, and they wound up killing him.
Oh my God.
Taking money, and had some whiskey before they left, and left a glass on the window, which was overlooked at one point until another psychic pulled up the same thing while doing one of these shows. I can't remember again whether it was Unsolved Mysteries or Sightings or one of them. That's incredible, whatever. And said you got to test the glass. They overlooked the glass.
Mhm.
And or they left it in the bathroom on the windowsill in the weird spot, like that weird window that's in. You ever get an apartment or a house where there's a tub, and the window is in where the shower wall would be? It's an outside wall instead of just leaving it tiled, just freaking window there. What the hell is that shit? So anyway, it was like that, and I've always hated that. I've lived in a lot of different places, and I've never understood that. Why would you put a window there? It's just, now you got to put curtains, and you're always going to put the shampoo on the thing, and it's a wood shelf, so it's supposed to be getting wet. What are you doing? So anyway, so they left the glass there, and they went back and tested it, found a fingerprint, arrested a dude. Okay, he did a little jail time. Said he didn't do it, had worked for him before. Wound up in a mistrial. And now it's disputed that the fingerprint ever matched in the first place. So there it is in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, and it goes a lot deeper in a lot of different directions. But as a finish up on that, one of our fantastic guests who we've had here on the show, Miss Catherine Ramslin, who is, gosh, her titles are many, but one of the things she does is write for Psychology Today. She was on this show with Mark Nesbitt, and they were talking to him about paranormal crime scene investigation, if you recall. And she wrote up a story on this case, and said that it remains unsolved because they couldn't get the match on the fingerprint. It doesn't mean that the guy didn't do it or this didn't happen to him in this way. And she also states about how different psychics got different things, and but in the long run, looking at it as like a 40,000 foot view, you can kind of see where all the. It was one of those cases where I said earlier where 10 things will match, but one thing doesn't, and that one thing throws both of their testimonies basically or statements out because that one thing is off. But wait a minute, what about all these other things that matched? I don't get that. I don't understand why they do that. But that's what happened to him, and his case remains unsolved. And I thought it was very sad. He was a brilliant man. I highly suggest you can go and get his books. There's a lot of used copies of the paperbacks out there, very cheap. He's absolutely worth a read. Phone Calls from the Dead, Leaving Your Body, a lot of different haunted houses and stuff. He goes in it as a skeptic. He's very much a Lloyd Auerbach kind of, I'm going to test everything. But I never heard him say that, seeing a bunch of people seeing a ghost walk through the living room is a mass hallucination. He believes that, he believed in the magic, and you got to wonder, a guy like that, why didn't he come forward and tell who his murderer was and stuff like that. But I kind of look at it like with all the books he wrote and the way he spoke about leaving your body and connecting into energy, I think he just crossed over and he knew the rest of it didn't matter anyway. So that's what
That
I'm
could
thinking.
be.
How do you feel about that, baby?
Yeah, that could definitely be.
Good
And
night,
that,
Blue.
good night. And that shit pisses me off all the time. You always see the good people, the good animals, everything like that, suffering, dying, and he was just trying to help those guys out, and they freaking murdered him. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just get so
It's one
angry
of
because
those things that escalated, and I think we're seeing a lot of that now. You're seeing a lot of that tension build now. You're going to
Mhm.
hear a lot of those crazy stories about. So everybody, watch your six,
Oh, yeah.
and maybe go in a group.
Oh, when I
I
go
don't know what to
out,
say. Watch
no,
your six and keep your head on a swivel.
when I'm out, my pepper spray's on my keychain. I have this thing that looks like a
God.
dog head. You stick your fingers through it, and it's got these spikes on it. I always carry a pocket knife. Like, I'm always paying attention because who the hell knows anymore? It's insane.
Yeah, Tito's vodka and a super soaker and a Bic lighter. Just saying. Just saying. Work more than once. I know that sounds kind of mean. Well, listen, guys, I know a lot of you are going to bed now, and I don't want to keep you up anymore, but I did have a last little treat for you. It's 10 minutes. Laura, if you got to go, I understand, sweetie. And before, just in case you want to dip out, let everybody know where they can find you and, all the stuff you're up to right now. What do you got going on?
Oh, I'm good. I'll hang in for the end of it. Made it this far, so. But I mean,
my stomach's are
no, my dog's on the
Is that
floor
your
and
dog?
he's snoring and he's
Sounded like a dog.
he makes noises. Yeah.
I thought it might have been your stomach though, so I was like,
No.
oh hell, I'm still gonna say.
No, he's right behind me on the
Black
floor.
Obsidian. Yep, absolutely, Linda. Carry Black Obsidian
Yeah.
and Senolite. Yep. Amethyst doesn't hurt. You know what else doesn't hurt?
I like amethyst.
357 Magnum doesn't hurt either, especially when it's on your ankle.
I have
I'll tell you what.
gemstone bracelets I wear, and I have other
Very
crystals I put in
nice.
my pockets and stuff when I go
Why
do
not-
things.
Why not all of it?
Right.
Big old cross on your chest, the whole thing of foil hat. I'm just saying, the times are getting weird. I mean, this is the spiritual war stick is getting big. That they're beating us down with. We got to keep picking each other up. We got to keep keep our the things that interest us and keep that going alive. If you're an avid reader, like I said last week, great idea if you get with the grandkids or the kids or the family or even your friends. Why not? If you're going to get out with the guy, well, I can't see a bunch of guys doing this. I can see ladies doing it though, but I don't know. Guys love all that kind of stuff. It depends on how you look at it. You can't tell me that getting together in a hunting cabin, smoking cigars, drinking beer, and deer hunting or duck hunting isn't it's kind of a role playing kind of thing. But anyway, it's pick a day, pick a time period. Maybe get together if you're that kind of lady. If you're like Miriam, in here. She was a fragile flower, but she
Yeah, she was.
I bet you she could get down with the girls, you know. I mean,
Oh, I don't know.
get
She's
to,
someone that I wouldn't want to be friends
you
with.
get a couple of mint juleps and marry him. I bet you she'd let that, you know, bobby pins fly out of her hair, you know. But anyway, God bless. Here's the wallpaper. That wallpaper had everybody under a spell. I swear, I thought it was really pretty, but I'm not a big fan of wallpaper. And usually, I can remember being really drawn to the one that Eric had with one of the mansions. It was a lemon yellow
In Tennessee.
and cream. It was so pretty, but I was drawn to it for the energy of it, which is similar to this. It was not only just pleasing to the eye. This wallpaper is a little weird, where the other ones were pleasing. It's something about the energy of the wallpaper. I can't explain it, but I guess people get that from portraits sometimes, or art, or, you know, especially the older stuff. You know, the big ornate. You know, I don't know. It's I guess all art can speak, even, you know, blacksmithing and, you know, twisting iron and shaping it and things can be beautiful, you know. It's just weird.
Mhm.
So anyway, I'm gonna as a special treat, I have struggled with this one for months because it was old tape. It's very old. It's from 1936. And I did a show a couple of weeks ago where we were doing Harry Price and Peter Underwood. And I didn't get to play the whole Harry Price for you. And the problem was, the problem was that when you loaded it, you could hear the sound, but it would play on StreamYard. And I downloaded and redid it and put it through something else and it wouldn't play. And it wouldn't give me a reason. So, because we're doing toys, like, what toys are you playing with? I mean, it's really that kind of thing. It's equipment, it's expensive equipment, but really, it's just like when we were kids. We had the toys, you know, we were playing around but really enjoying it. So, who had them first? Harry, this is the whole Harry Price exclusive interview that he did through the AP, and if you recall, I'm going to go ahead and play the first part again. If you saw it, I'm sorry, but some people didn't. So to make it all sense, it's about 9 minutes. But he takes us to his lab, shows you some things the mediums were using back then, and some things he was using to do a little ghost chasing and ghost stakeouts of his own. So without further ado, here's Harry. It's a little small, and I couldn't make it bigger, but we got it to play. So sorry about that. Here we go.
What is psychical research? A popular opinion says that it means going to seances, psychical research. A popular opinion says that it means going to seances, holding hands in the dark, singing hymns, and perhaps getting in touch with your dead relatives. But in this, popular opinion is only partly correct, because it is confusing a psychical research with a spiritualism. A psychical research is a science, and is rapidly becoming an exact science. Its object is to ascertain by exact experimental methods how far the alleged phenomena of the seance room can be brought into line with normality. These phenomena, which are produced by people who claim abnormal powers and who call themselves mediums, can be divided into physical and mental. The mental includes clairvoyance, psychometry, the direct voice which spirits are supposed to produce at seances, and similar manifestations. The physical phenomena includes telekinesis, or the abnormal movement of objects without physical contact, the poltergeist phenomena you read about in connection with haunted houses, and similar manifestations. There is an idea that the study of alleged abnormal phenomena is quite modern, but that is not the case. People have been interested in psychic phenomena from the very earliest times, and even the literature of the subject is very old. In our research library of some 12,000 volumes, we have books going back right to the 16th century. I'll show you one or two. For instance, here is one here written by Louis Levata. It is called Of Ghosts and Spirits Walking by Night, and this must be the very first book printed in English which deals with survival as we know it today. I'll show you another one. Here is one written by Oliver Goldsmith and deals with the famous Cock Lane ghost. The extraordinary part of this book is that it describes a séance in a girl's bedroom exactly as if it might have been written yesterday. But modern research proceeds on vastly different lines to what it did in the 16th century. We now require a fully equipped laboratory, which I'll show you. If a man comes to us and says that he can produce abnormal phenomena, then we test him by instrumental means. We have a number of special instruments for this purpose, including a dictaphone, a cinematograph projector and cameras, X-ray apparatus, infrared, ultraviolet, and many others, such as microscopes, etc. Now here are some very ingenious slates which I have taken out of our museum of such objects. Now these slates are very ingenious. Here you see a pair of simple slates, but not quite so simple. And when I tell you I gave £8 for them, you will know that there is a reason for the cost. A touch of a spring and you notice that they are covered with writing and a drawing of an alleged spirit. Here is another exhibit from our museum. Apparently it is a very well-made mahogany box, which I will proceed to lock. Now that, to all intents and purposes, is locked fast. But by touching a screw here, one can open the box, whether it is locked or not. This is the kind of thing that some fraudulent mediums use, although not, of course, under any scientific control. I will now show you the very ingenious mechanism of this box in detail. You will see that the staple has been caught in the lock. Of course, the staple has come from the lid. When I close the box again and replace this pin, you'll notice the box is again locked. I will now unlock it, and of course the staple is back in the lid again, although it would defy anyone to find where a mechanism was hidden. We get some extraordinary investigations to do, but I think the most extraordinary was the opening of Joanna Southcott's famous box. This box was opened at the Church House, Westminster in 1927, and a wave of excitement passed through the audience as I cut the steel bag. The box contained the most extraordinary collection of objects. Here is a wire puzzle, very ancient puzzle. Joanna Southcott's nightcap, very curious. A dice box, but what Joanna wanted with a dice box I can't say. a lottery ticket, number 382, for 1814. I'm afraid it didn't win anything. A horse pistol. An ancient purse full of really very valuable coins. This is the most interesting exhibit. Books, several books as a matter of fact, and a piece of paper printed on the Thames, February the 3rd, 1814. Well, I have shown you the very curious contents of that box, but I'm afraid there was nothing in it which Joanna Southcott said would save the nation in a time of emergency. Well, you have seen our laboratory, and we are now back in the library, which is also our science room, where all our tests are held. I will now show you our latest piece of apparatus. Here is a box like a sentry box, which was made to test an alleged clairvoyant or thought reader. This man stated that he could find hidden objects in a room. So we had our suspicions that he found these objects by watching the audience or by getting indicia from the movements of the audience. So we had this box made so that we could cover up portions of a person's anatomy, a part at a time. For instance, that's panel number 1. We found that our theory was correct, because when the person who knew where the object was entirely hidden in this box, the clairvoyant failed. He could not find the hidden object. Now here is a totally different piece of apparatus. If a man comes to us and says that he can make objects move without physical contact, we try this table on him. This table is in 2 portions. It's really a cage within a cage, and the center portion rises. We hoped it would rise by psychic power, but unfortunately we have never got it to rise by those means yet. But this is a fraud-proof table. Inside the table are various musical toys, like a toy piano and the panpipes, etc. The 8 panels in this table can only be moved by opening this flap and putting one's hand down into the table. Therefore, if we get any of these musical toys being worked upon while we are sitting round the table, and the flap is closed, then we know that the noises have been caused, or rather the movements have been caused by abnormal means, and we proceed further with our investigations. So you see that psychical research means a good deal of knowledge about many things, but we are progressing. Not only are we progressing, but orthodox science is taking a very keen interest in the subject, and already many universities in various parts of the world, as for instance at Leiden in Holland, Duke University in America, Johns Hopkins University in America, and more recently a group connected with the University of London has been formed, and it is hoped that some information will be derived from our experiments. In conclusion, I do earnestly hope and trust that any of you who come across cases of hauntings, poltergeists, unusual happenings of any sort will communicate with me, care of the Movito News.
Write those letters in, folks. Scariest ghost of the night. Is that not precious?
It's the cutest ghost of the night.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Enjoy the magic, everybody. Don't forget, you know, toys are different to everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, I mean, equipment is one thing. Listen, G.I. Joes, you couldn't call them dolls, right? They're action figures, and it's just so weird. Use what resonates with you. You know, the simplest stuff seems to be the best sometimes, right, Laura? Is that the puppy? Is it time to go out?
No, I just had to yell at the cat. He's like clawing at the door to get in.
You better let them in. They're the boss. You got to do what they say. They're going to win anyway,
He's
So
been out
tell.
since last night, the little asshole.
Oh, has he?
Yeah,
Well, I hope you all
that's
enjoyed.
my dog.
There he is. It sounds great. It's an EVP. Everybody, get the time down. Timestamp that. It's an EVP. Listen, all those toys and gadgets and stuff, and that's like not even the half of it. Harry Price said is absolutely, no pun intended, priceless. I mean, the terms and stuff he used, all the gadgets he had, the things mediums use, like the slates. Steve has told us about them, and that's what they look like. You put them together and you pop a spring, and it looks like the spirit wrote on the board. And they had all those things they put the mediums in to test them, and the toys inside of the what did he call it, the unbreakable box or the fraud box or something, because they couldn't get their hands in there to make it play, but they wanted the spirits to play on the toy. It's crazy the stuff that we've done to communicate with the other side. And that's what I'm saying. All this stuff, all these techniques, all these ideas, Laura, and we have a hard time communicating with the jerk in line at the shop and go. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's a weird concept. And yet we know when we get together, like you guys did on Sean the other night, or, Steve and I, to help Cool Breeze, with all the people that didn't even know each other helping out, or my case with, with a biker friend that was very dear to
Yeah.
me, all of that, everybody getting together, and we have and we've got people backing over people and running over them again and going around the block and running over. What the hell what's going on?
I don't know, man. It's just getting worse and worse, though.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like evil is good and good is evil or something, some kind of flip. So I'm waiting for that pendulum to go, because I'll tell you.
I sure hope so, man.
Physics. It's all about physics. It's that pendulum, when it starts to swing, it swings up, How far up is it swinging? Boy, it's got to come down. How much further is going to go the other way? Are we going back to the Waltons? That wouldn't be so bad in a lot of ways.
No,
we treated
I would
our
do it.
elderly with respect, and we knew that they were wise because they had lived through all their wounds and all their trials and their journey, and we listened to them, and we sat down and we shucked peas on the front porch, and and did all the things. Went fishing with our granddad, and listen to the stories, and that goes back, gosh, centuries. I think when they started separating us and didn't want us to have face-to-face conversations and things like that, I'll tell you, countries have been built in dark little bars over some, not so good beer, but great ideas and a lot of conviction, and a lot of intent. We've seen what people can do when they get together, and the miracles that can happen. I don't know, Laura. I mean, it's like that saying. It's never underestimate or think that a small group of dedicated and devoted individuals can change the world. Do you know why?
No.
Because it's the only thing it ever has, baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's the only thing it ever has. So keep your lights on. Keep those big fat candles lit. Laura, tell us where we can find you, darling. Midnight in the Mountains, and you're with Dylan.
Yeah.
And when are you on with Dylan?
Well, Dylan and I have been on, I think we've done 2 episodes now. I'm working on producing the 3rd one to come out. So basically, I'm on with Dylan every time we put out an episode. I'm like his new co-host. And yeah, so nice. And you can find Creepy Unsolved on any podcatcher. Dylan also has a YouTube channel that I don't really have anything to do with other than bouncing ideas off me or, giving him like my
He's
feedback.
So talented.
Oh,
So
he is,
talented.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so
Mhm.
much talent in
He's
here.
awesome.
And like I say all the time, don't underestimate yourself either. Now's the time to get that talent out there. Do the thing, read the book. Do that with your kids or the grandkids. Like I said, pick a day, pick a time, pick an era, pick a people. We did one, it was Irish Day. I know it sounds so funny, but we picked a meal. Why did they eat this? Can we, within reason, can we make it and pull it off? We told Irish poetry, and we tried to talk like that and use some words, but in we had a fun way, but it wasn't disrespectful. It was honoring the culture and learning about it. I told you about the ink and making a quill pen and learning a signature. At the same time, they don't realize what they're learning and that there's other cultures out there and they should be respected, as well as who you are should be respected, right? And that's the way it works. And and I think that pendulum is about to come down. Just duck, and just keep your lights on
Yeah.
and keep doing what we're doing. But as we can see, looking back here, Leonard does it again in search of, God bless D. Scott Rodeo. I don't know whatever happened to him. He's one of those mysteries, but I like to think that he's probably one of those people that knew a couple of the secrets kind of like we do. It's about intent, and it's about loving who you love and trying to be kind and keeping your lights on. Good night, sweetie. Everybody,
Good
we're
night.
out. We're out of here, and let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I will play us out with the little kitty. How cool was that Harry Price, man? That was just good stuff, right? I mean, I can't believe that film. Those old newsreels were really, really something. All right, and don't forget, if you have any adventures or experiences, write Harry Price in care of newsreels. And let him know about it. Maybe he'll come back. He's a powerful dude. He's a very serious dude. Maybe he'll come back and see if he can get that for you. Good night, everybody. Keep your feet under the covers. Here we go.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, sweetie.
Unusual happenings of any sort will communicate with me, care of the Movietone News.
Love you, gatekeepers. Enjoy the journey. Believe in the magic.